Yo, how's everyone doing? Right, so I've just had my NIC assessment. So I thought, how you doing, mate? You okay? So I thought I will just share, because I'm trying to do a lot more not lives to keep people in the loop about everything that's going on here at the GHC. So that being said, so we've just had my NIC assessment for, obviously another year. And I thought I would share my findings from that today, obviously for this year and moving forward. Now I have made a full video on it, which has actually been really good. The only thing is I couldn't film the actual assessor, things like that, hence the reason, because we're not allowed to, which is fine. I completely understand that, but I wouldn't be opposed to doing that either if I got the opportunity. So anybody who knows me knows that I really struggle with the whole process, or have done previously, have struggled with it. So if any of you guys have struggled with your approved contractor scheme, whether that's NAPIT or NIC, then obviously just let me know in the comments whether that is something that you guys have struggled with as well, in regards to like the anxiety and the build up to it and all of the load of stuff that you get told by other contractors and the wholesalers about how stressful it is and what's going to happen, and you never really hear the good side about it. You always hear the negatives. So one of the most common things that we hear is, oh, good luck, you're gonna get failed for this and you get failed for that. I hope you've done this, I hope you've done that, because you're gonna get cancelled and failed, and my assessor failed me and he was this, that and the other, right? We've all heard it, we hear it all the time. I actually have had both ends of the scale, in fairness. So for me, as I've mentioned before, my first ever assessment, which was 20 years ago, they put me down for a revisit, which I thought was actually massively unfair. And the reason why I had a revisit was because he nailed me on not having bonding to the water supply, which actually was a non-requirement in this property because it was a plastic incomer. Plastic ran through the house and it was actually a non-requirement. And because I was so new, he just went in for me. And this is, luckily enough, 20 years ago. I was very green and inexperienced, and I didn't feel confident enough to challenge him on it. I just went, yeah, okay, whatever. And they nailed me for a revisit. And ever since that day, that led on to having all this anxiety and, stress about it all. So anyway, 20 years down the line, whoa, that ain't happening. We're not having any of that. So I have had this assessor last year and this year. Last year I had loads going on with a load of stuff to do with my mental health and stuff like that. This year, hey, that ain't me. I like to say that I'm no longer a mental health sufferer, and I'm very open with it. And if you guys feel, you want to ask questions about it, how I've got to where I am, feel free, knock yourself out. I will try and help you as much as I can, if that makes any sense. So I'm in a much better place. And to be fair, the assessor's really annoying because I can't mention his name. He was saying I'm like chalk and cheese compared to what I was last year to this year, right? And I said, yeah, I want to record it, but we can't record it, but I can tell you exactly what we did, the whole process, how it goes. And I explained everything, what we've done in the video, which is I'm literally just uploading it as we speak to the editor. So should make really, really, really good content. So have you guys got a good assessor, or do you feel like your assessor that you've got now you feel hard done by? And if that is the case, why? So for me, I look at these days as an opportunity, and it never used to be. I always look at it as a stress, and I don't want to get involved. Absolutely hate it. Now today, of all days, is actually a really hard day because I was supposed to be at my uncle's funeral today in Scotland. So it's a 6.5 hour, 6 and a bit hour drive. I should have been there, but I couldn't get to there because I needed to be here. And that's not because it's just because for me mentally I have to get this done, because if I don't, I build it up into something that it's not really. So that being said, they make allowances for these sorts of things. I explained my situation and said, look, I'm going to say some stupid stuff today, and I do, and that's all right. We're human, right? I make mistakes. Now the assessor has said to me, we're not here to fail you at all. We just want safe installations. That's the thing. And it's like, cool, so do I. Now, he's watched a lot of our content on YouTube, right? So has a lot of the other NIC assessors as well. They've all seen my content out there, and it turns out I'm not too bad. By all accounts, from what they've said, is I'm not too bad. And I'm pretty much one of the only real world channels out there that will show you the good, the bad, the ugly, right? And that includes all the stuff that gets hidden in this glossy world of, it's all up, hey, ta-da, it's all done, right? That's not how we roll. It's definitely not how I roll. So NIC assessment today, they always have to look at things for you to improve. How do you improve on you being a contractor, I suppose? So how do you improve on it? So one of the things that we all know, and you're going to be sitting there watching this now going, yeah, you're right, I understand. We're tradespeople for a reason. It's not because we like doing paperwork, right? We all hate it, right? Every single one on here will absolutely hate doing paperwork. And yeah, because we're not admin. We're not admin. Yes, we have to do admin, but that isn't what we choose to do. If we could get rid of it, we would. So one of the things that he's pulled me up for today, and rightly so, is not enough detail in my certification. So things like on my ICRs and my installation stuff needs to be more detailed, and what that's actually for. And when he explained it to me more, I completely get it. It's more to do with protecting myself as a contractor rather than looking after the client as much. So especially in a rental situation. So if you're in a rental, landlord, if you're a landlord, they don't really care about you. So if it all went completely wrong, they're going to look at coming back at you, because they're going to say to you that he signed it off. He signed it off, so it's fine. So they're going to lean into you as much as they possibly can to get that satisfactory result, rather than actually, no, it isn't satisfactory. So you have to protect yourself, because if something goes wrong, a tenant gets hurt, they will always refer back to the certification that you've provided. So if you have provided certification and it's not good enough, and you have left yourself wide open for interpretation, which is what I've done, then that's on me. And I'm asking for trouble. And I mean asking for trouble. So things like I've put down, like on my certification, right? So here's a classic example. So on my certification, I've put down who's requested the EICR report. I put landlord. Well, who the hell's that? Landlord. Yeah, but who? And that's the thing. Even though it's got his names on the client's details, it's just silly little things like that where you've gone, yeah, I suppose it makes sense. If you're putting down more detail, you cover yourself, because that landlord might actually change hands. And he's going, well, hang on, I wasn't the landlord for this guy. So, and I understand that. There's also updates on checking your qualifications, right? Those updates are really, really important. And I've got a feeling there's stuff that's coming in a little bit further down the line. That's the impression I've got, where they're verifying way more on what your qualifications you've got. And one of the things that we were discussing, let's say 20 years ago, like me, 20 years ago, you did your qualifications, what you've done, and you might be two guys, and you use this as an example. So you've got two guys sent by a company. You've both gone off to do your qualifications. This guy's gone to do his AM2 with it. Company's gone, actually, yeah, I'm not going to pay for this guy to do it because I just need to get him over the line, get him done. And for some reason, this didn't happen. Doesn't mean this guy's a poor electrician, rubbish electrician. This is 20 years gone by. But hey, this guy still hasn't got his AM2. So he needs to now do that, or at least prove what else qualifications he's got to be on. I can't remember the official wording. I'll try and figure it out if it comes back to me. But it's basically to be on like a competent at what you're doing. And it's just, again, it falls back into that. If something happens, how do you prove that you are competent and qualified to do the job that you're doing? Now, I know a load of people will be going, yeah, but if you've just done your apprenticeship, this is why only real Sparkies have done their apprenticeship and, you know, they've done their AM2 and all the rest of it, then that's not really true or fair, because there's a lot of Sparkies who have done apprenticeships and their AM2 are absolutely rubbish at what they do. I mean rubbish. And I come across that work all the time. But equally, I've found people who have done like an adult learner have come in and have been absolutely spot on with their installs. Really, really hot at what they're doing. Really knowledgeable and really passionate about it, way more than the 16-year-old who's come in from college because he was forced to do it and he had nothing else better to do. He doesn't really have the passion for it and just going along with the motions. So can you see where this sort of thing, and I did say to him, because I am that latter guy. I didn't do my apprenticeship in that. I did my apprenticeship in mechanical work. So I'm a fully qualified mechanic that specialised in fault diagnostics. I was a master tech and all sorts of stuff. So my way into the industry was not like the apprenticeship route for that side. So I've done your adult learner as such. But again, I've got that passion. I love what I do. And like the assessor have said, probably one of the best Sparkies that he has to go out to visit, which is fantastic to hear. Do I feel like an imposter at times? Yes. And he to be fair, he shut me down in flame pretty quick on that. And he said, you should never feel like that for the skill set that I've got. And yeah, and it's great to hear, isn't it? It doesn't really change anything for me mentally, but it's nice to hear, isn't it? To be validated, I suppose, again, by someone who's actually assessing my work. So I just wanted to sort of jump on and try and do a bit more of the live stream. So if anyone's got any questions, then fire them over to me now, and I'll try and answer those as much as I possibly can before I have to shoot off. But I thought I'd share with you my experience from today. Don't be fearful on it. Do not be frightened of your assessment, whether that's from my experience. I've only ever been signed off by the NICEIC. Originally domestic installer for many, many years, and then I went into the approved contractors scheme, I don't know, 4 years ago, maybe something like that. And that was really just to honour my assessor that I had him for 10 years and unfortunately passed away. So, and it was something he always wanted me to do, and I never did it. And then when he passed away, I thought, you know what, I'm for Lee, I'm going to do it. So I did. So if you've got any questions, let us know, fire them on. I'll try and answer them as much as I possibly can, but they'll be answered very, very honestly. So, which is something that I do really like to do. I like to be as honest as I possibly can, because what's the point? That's why I've always done it with the channel. So if you've got any, you want some real answers for it, and then let her rip. I will quite gladly answer them. So on a side note as well, we're also building an additional channel, which is going to be launched very, very soon, in fairness. So the additional channel, if you want to know a little bit more about that, then let us know. but the additional channel is going to be pretty, I'm quite excited about it. It's actually going to be really interactive as well. So with you guys especially, there's going to be a lot of giveaways that we're planning on doing, just to give back. New national grid regs. So what's that regarding, Dave? 3-phase 2 cab, as in like porter cabin. So yeah, so I'll come back to that, but 3-phase to every property. Right, okay, so 3-phase for every property. It didn't come up in conversation, but I'm not... What did come up in conversation is that how much of the D&O are actually pushing cabinet on the border of the property. Yeah, right. So one of the, kind of in touch with this, right? So one of the things that came up into discussion was actually how much the D&O are leaning into the electricians, almost like taking responsibility for all of this, right? Rather than actually fixing how antiquated our system is. Our system is awful. We can all agree on that, yeah? It is really poor. It's just worn out. So yeah, now I did see this somewhere, and I can't remember where it was. It might have been on the eFix actually, or something popped up. So 1-phase for EVs, 1-phase for right. Yeah, I mean, right. So the problem is, who's picking up the bill? Right, I'm all for this, but again, you know, like, so I think what you're saying is obviously you've got an enclosure that comes to our boundary of your property, and then from that boundary, you're going to have these phases that you've got to then take control of, right? That's great, and I understand that. I think that's what they're trying to get at. But some of these properties, like today, that is a hell of a distance between the two. Who's picking up that bill? Again, it always falls back into the end user. I understand the premise behind it. I mean, my house, I've got 3-phase here, and it's not a stately home. Before we all, I mean, let's be honest, we all know that us Sparkies get a bad rep, that we're all millionaires and rolling around in Bentleys, darling. I've got 3-phase here. I only use 1-phase for everything, but I have got 3-phase here. Yes, I could use 2 phases for obviously if I had used it for EV and all the rest of it, and I get it, I do get it, but hence the reason why load management. But I think a big part of it really is if the network didn't have so many breakdowns and was more balanced and maintained better, it wouldn't be quite as big of a problem. But I do completely understand. But how the hell? So if they were to force that, you mean, so some of the houses that, like, I've got quite a lot. I've got the gatehouse and all that, right? So my drive's quite a decent size. So if that was to happen here, that is one massive undertaking to get the feedback in from the front to, the board where it is here. It's huge. And who's paying for that? I ain't paying for it. And that's what, and I could do the work. So you imagine that end user. So yeah, it's a great question. And I don't know how it's going to pan out. I'll be honest with you. I think realistically, I think a lot of the network needs to be modified and updated anyway. I mean, the load management and stuff on the EVs, but I think personally that they've pushed moving forward of thinking everyone will be on EVs. There'll be 2 EVs per house straight away and all the rest of it. I can't see it. I can't see that that's going to be happening, because the amount of people who moan at me about EVs is unreal. So does that answer your question? If that makes any sense. So while I'm waiting for that, for him to respond on those. So who's got their NIC assessment? When does anyone know when that is, or anyone that's coming up for anyone? And have you got any concerns about it? Because if you have, just let them rip. So the other thing is one of the things that I had obviously on the assessment today, I've got a bit of an issue with my software that I use, and yes, iPad is smashed, right? It's broke, but it's still usable. Now, I've had a problem today with the software, and it's been getting progressively worse. And I'm not into, smashing the brand and all the rest of it that I use. But I want to know what you guys are using. So that is iCertify that I've been using. Now, I've been using it for years, in fairness, and just double check. So I'm 99% that it's iCertify. I want to be right, yeah. Come on, get out. Yeah, iCertify, yeah. So I've been using it for ages, but for some reason, my version, so when you got all your tick listings for are you testing the ring final, are you doing, you're going Z, you're going to do you've got TT, ZE system and all that lot, and it's all generic, yeah, NA, and then you select all, and it will do all that. Well, mine, for some reason, is I can tick it all, what I need to be done, my tick boxes, and then for some reason it just decides, nope, it's not happy. It's wiping itself out. So, which is really, really irritating. And it also means that potentially, like today, luckily enough, my assessor knows what I'm like, and has gone mad. Right. So, the questions have only just started coming through, so I'll start answering these now. So sorry, right. On faith, so the customer is responsible for everything. Yeah, and this is the problem. That's hopefully when I've answered that, you've got the Scott. So I'm on the 2346. Do you know if the NICEIC will take on newly qualified persons? Right, so the best bit of advice, because there's all this grey area at the minute, Scott, so hopefully you're still online, right? So the best bit of advice, what I would say to you is get in touch with the NIC and speak to them about all of that, exactly that, because it's constantly updating, they were saying, because if you've got set regulations, they're set qualifications, they're actually updating it almost on a monthly basis, what actually qualifies for them. Okay, so the chances are, so what he was trying to say to me, you might be missing almost like a module of something. So it's not necessarily that you go, I haven't got enough. It just might be you're missing a little module and you need to do that one bit, which is fine. And I know, to be fair, he's said to me today, who pays for all this? And again, it's always us that has to pay for it. And it is really frustrating. So hopefully that helps. But don't be frightened to reach out, because they get a bad rep. They genuinely do. And I personally, in the 20 years, I've not really had any problems. I ring them up if I've got something I'm not quite sure on. I'll speak to technical, I'll speak to my assessor, and it's absolutely fine. They are there to help. So trade certs, so few free trials out there. So I am gonna look into a few of these, because this system has been good, but it's also done my nut in, because for that I actually had another job where I completely did all the testing, gone to like left the job, come home, okay, let's sign it off. Bloody all the results are gone. All the results gone. So I had to go back to the house, retest everything. It's a joke, and it's so frustrating. And I think that's what's really grinding my gears. And I think for me, I'm now looking at it going, actually, maybe is it time for something new? You know, it is a bit of a pain. Trade cert is brilliant. It's got lots of AI. Yeah, so with the AI stuff, so we use quite a bit of AI stuff to do with all the editing, right? On here for the shorts, you may gather, because time is of the essence for someone like me, and we use AI quite a lot. Now, AI is fantastic. Have you had any problems with it actually, populating the boards in the right way and things like that? Because I know for me in AI, I can't completely let go. You have to check everything. You have to check it, and so some of the stuff it is what it is. It just makes mistakes because it's AI, isn't it? So have you had that, or has it been absolutely spot on? If it doesn't populate it. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I'll definitely look into it. I'll give it a go, because, like I say, I've used iCertify for quite a long time, and it has been generally really good. It's just that, but also another weird thing, it won't let me send emails off that and send it, but you can use an old certificate. Okay. So you take I think you take photos of it, can't you? And it creates it all for you. I think, if I remember right. I think I saw a video on it. I think might have been Bristol Sparky. I think something like that on there. Yeah, they're a bit of a minefield, aren't they? I mean, I'm of the day where it was what's it called? Paper originally. There's a group. Oh, yes. Chat. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll reach out to them and see what they say, because I do need to sort this out. It's something that's been bugging me for a little while, and I think this is one of the. Is it the time to try and sort all this now? Because I do need to get things sorted, because the business itself, right? So, sharing is caring and all that. So the business, for me, we are really pushing down, narrowing our niche effectively, right? And the reason why we're doing that is because our business is set up for this. So basically doing, your domestic Sparky stuff alongside, like your extensions and things like that. That's our premise of our business, right? But it also means that I have to streamline, but also I'm multi-skilled, if that makes any sense. So Sparking isn't literally the only thing I have to do. I have to do dirty plumbing and things like that sometimes, which is a bit painful, but hey, here it is. I'm trying to get off it as much as I can, but hey, it is what it is, amongst other things that we have to do on top of running the business and creating more work and jobs and keeping everyone, you know, in employment and all the rest of it. And it's hard, really hard to try and do it. So obviously trying to get on top of all the admin side of things to make my life as easy as possible. But as it stands right now, what I have to do is, if I came to work at your house, then I'll circle back for that. So if I came to work at your house, I'm then going to I've got to come home, send that to my laptop, which is just here. That's why you see me dropping off. And then put it into our email and then send it that way. And it's just a pain in the backside. And I never used to, and I don't know why. So your question there, mate, of do the NIC sign off any of my other work? The answer is no. They don't sign off anything else. They just purely do the NIC, the electrical side of the business. They don't do anything else. So everything else for us is all building control notice. For us, they don't get involved in anything else at all. Any gas works that gets done on any of our builds is all done by a private contractor that we use all the time for that. But yeah, they don't do anything else. Although I think the main company is Searchshore, I think. Searchshore, something like that. They own Gas Safe as well. So all the forms and the layout of everything is exactly the same. It is literally exactly the same. But yeah, they don't sign up anything else, mate, on what we do at all. It'd be a shame, because if they could, it'd be awesome. But yeah, but they don't have the fingers in that pie at the minute. They really don't. Whether they ever do, because there used to be a big thing about private third-party companies who used to sign off building control, independent building control, but I think that all went belly up. It certainly did round our way, and it was pricey because it was just a bit of a sham, really. Whereas when it goes back to the council do it because it's non-profit. There's no incentive for them to do other than buy the book, so it doesn't make any odds for them, and it makes no difference to us because we do everything by the book anyway. So it's never really been a problem. The only problem is, it used to be, is this speed from turnaround for jobs, but it's not like that anymore. So it is what it is. So that's one of the issues. What? Yeah, so they don't. It's the turnaround in jobs that we don't have anymore. But yeah, it is what it is. We're on job projects for such a long time; it makes no difference. So what I might do, so tomorrow is my actual office day as such. I've got to go and do a little job in the morning. So what I'll try and do is I might jump on tomorrow at some point and try and answer as many questions as possible. But yeah, overall, NIC assessment, another one in the bag. Nice and straightforward. There is a full video on it that will be coming out soon-ish. It's usually about 3 weeks. We're on a backlog for about 3 weeks for all the content that we're doing. Explain the whole process of what you need to get in place, what to expect, what is it like actually on the assessment, the good, the bad, the ugly, what you get out of it as well from a end user point of view, what they get out of it, what we need to make sure we pass, because that's the priority, really. We need to pass this every time. We don't want to be faffing about going, oh, I've got to revisit. You don't want to revisit because it's more hassle, more time. You can't do work in between. all these sorts of things. So yeah, so hopefully that's this little, I know I've been waffling on for half an hour, like, but hopefully that's helped you, and I will leave you guys to it, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will catch up with you all later, tater. Right, see you in a bit. Thanks for joining.